It's another Human First AI marketing podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague at Avenue 9. You can find us at avenue9.com. This week, we are talking all things human and machine learning with Owen Lawlor. He is Vice President of AI and Machine Learning at CoachEm.io. And CoachEm is a company that is helping use AI to help sales leaders and salespeople do better in their jobs and improve their performance. So, Owen, I want to start with a question there because I think we're going to nerd out and have a ton of fun here in this conversation today. But there are two paths here, which is teaching AI how to be salespeople and creating digital avatars and voice models that can pretend to do a sales call on behalf of your company. And then there's also ways to use AI and role play and instruction and coaching and pattern analysis to make the human seller better, more efficient, and more engaging. You guys are taking the latter approach, but why do you think that maybe, companies should think about investing more in their humans than trying to replace them with AI as we sit here in 2025?
Mike, that's a great question, and thanks for the invite to the podcast. I'm really very happy that we have a chance to talk about this subject. I've been very much aligned with the idea behind making the humans run with the machines as opposed to the machines taking over and running everything. Way back in 2007, I partnered with Andy McAfee and Eric Brynjolfsson at MIT, the Center for Digital Business, who you may know. And they wrote a book called Race Against the Machine. Mm-hmm. I got an early copy of that, was given edit rights, and absolutely in alignment. And the thesis of that book was the machines are really good at what they do, and the humans are really good at what they do. And let the machines do what they do and align with them and make the humans better. And kind of my career since 2008 has followed that path. And I've been very much a proponent of not replacing the humans and making the humans superhumans and much more powerful with the capabilities of AI.
I'm so excited about this one. One of my favorite analogies that you can feel free to steal because I stole it from somebody else is the Terminator versus Iron Man analogy. Terminator is the autonomous AI that goes out and tries to accomplish the mission. Iron Man is Tony Stark the human with Jarvis AI in his ear that allows him to be superhuman, and the machines wrapped around him to give him superhuman abilities. And I think the Terminator version of sales and marketing tools are getting a ton of hype. And for some reason, I don't know, I guess people just assume that they will have a better ROI is why that's so hyped. But I don't think your side of the model, the Iron Man approach, is getting enough love. But I know closely because I'm working with you guys there at CoachEm that there is some incredible stuff going on in how to make humans better. Can you talk a little bit about the causal AI that you've built, the learning interventions that you're doing, and all the crazy stuff that are the techniques, strategies, and tactics for increasing human potential?
Absolutely. So causal AI is a real thing. It's not a marketing buzzword. We did take some ownership of it, but you can't just do that. You need to actually be able to deliver on what is causal AI. So we actually, from the beginning, were, and I know agentic is the huge buzzword now. Everybody's building agents, even though they may not really quite know what they are at this point. But the future of agentic is actually in building models. So from early on, I was very excited about the opportunity to join CoachEm. Came from a crazy background in working with natural language processing, built real-time social search for Twitter. We worked with the government. They were very interested in being able to, analyze what was happening in the microblogging sphere. And we built small language models from 140 character tweets early on. And, to me, natural language is super interesting, but you can only do so much with it. The LLM world is really focused on that, and it's all trained up on natural language, right? All the pre-training that happens with these LLMs, and the ability to build a frontier model. It's all built on kind of the universe of information that's out there, which essentially is the open internet, and it's an averaging of the internet, and that's all. No matter how much how many parameters that you build into your frontier model, it's still going to be that. And we wanted to go beyond that. And what we wanted to create was a model of the selling world. So what does that look like? I joined CoachEm because these guys had incredible experience. They trained over 10,000 salespeople over like 20 years. A lot of salespeople that I know in the technology field were trained up by the founders of CoachEm. So absolutely massive opportunity to take their knowledge and transfer that into a knowledge graph. And the knowledge graph, I don't know how technical we want to get here, but if you want to,
let's go for it.
We can geek out. So we built a dynamic Bayesian network that utilized Markov decision processes and created a reinforcement learning engine, essentially a model of the selling world. What that looks like was based on the 30 years and tens of thousands of people trained and a deep knowledge of analytics and metrics revolving around sales. So it's very different than just taking an out of the box LLM and maybe doing some RAG, some fine tuning, and utilizing that to do some pretty cool stuff. But it's not going to tell you. It's going to tell you some things maybe about a phone conversation that you had with a prospect, but it's not going to tell you how you're doing and what you should do next.
Yeah, so let's dive into that a little bit, and I'll help translate a little bit. You're doing a great job. But what I think I find fascinating about CoachEm is that, you could use language like ChatGPT to write a sales email to a prospect. That's one way to use it. But you could also go the other way. I call it, you can maybe steal this one too, Owen, is degenerative AI, which is you could look at the sales emails your teams are already sending and then use the natural language processing to go back and look at which ones worked, which ones resonated, what happened there, and synthesize the information rather than trying to generate new stuff. Go into the heart of like what's really working and what's not. And when you combine that with the sales experts you guys have there, you've built this crazy model. You know how many things, but there's thousands of different learning interventions, and there's things that you can measure from gong call recordings to those emails to meeting transcripts and CRM information, and take all of this information and look at not just what is happening, like, oh, we missed quota. We knew that from the CRM and the sales reports, but now the causal part is why did we miss quota? And we finally have answers to that. And really, sales managers and executives have been guessing at that for hundreds of years now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this model is built on natural systems, and it's built on nature's an amazing thing. It leaves clues. It has structure. It has dynamics, nonlinear dynamics in a lot of instances. But what it does for being able to actually have a model, right? For modeling, you may have seen simulation or scenario development. By simulating an environment beforehand, you can run through tens of thousands of scenarios. We can make adjustments. We can individualize the experience for each sales rep based on their metrics. We can find the root cause of their selling problems, what issues they're facing that are most egregious, and by tracking the system of rewards and punishments and which actions are moving the needle the most, i.e. selling more, we can actually make recommendations to ameliorate, to help them with their most difficult problems. The interesting part and what LLMs can't do is to track and actually see if your closing ratios go up by 25% because we're giving you learning interventions that are specific to your selling problems. Guess what? That's valuable, and it goes right to the bottom line. And as frontline managers, we're facing really a tsunami of AI. And the ratio of sales managers to salespeople is changing dramatically. We heard of one very large company, EMC Dell, or Dell EMC as it may be. They went from like 9 or 10 reps per frontline manager to 25. So these managers are hurting. They need tools, but they have too many tools. So they need tools to manage the tools. And the ability to understand where I am right now and what I should do next to help my reps is absolutely essential, because reps now, you can no longer be mediocre as a sales rep. You're going to get wiped out in this, as the selling environment becomes more challenging. It's not going to be possible to be mediocre in this environment. You have to leverage all the tools at your disposal and become a super rep and have the ability to identify if you have any weak spots and how to improve those as quickly as possible. And it's going to be.
Let's take this into three different areas. I think we've done a great job so far talking about the machine learning is good enough now to identify what these problems are. You have enough data, you've been able to crunch it, verify it. The machine on the back end works. I love what you said here about the second problem is, how do we get the sales managers and the sales people this information in a way that is helpful, right? Everybody has a million dashboards. People, I think it was something like above 90% of Gong call recordings are not reviewed by a manager.
95%.
Yeah. So ridiculous. Well, okay, we have that information, but now that's not helping us get better. And so I love what you're saying of, okay, we need AI to look at all of this information and make some suggestions. We know what everybody's outcomes want. They want more deals, bigger deals, and faster deals. So if we can analyze those things and what lead into those, we can give recommendations on how to get better. But then you guys took it a whole nother level and using AI to make recommendations inside those buckets of how to actually change human behavior. So can you talk a little bit about what you've learned about how to actually improve a rep performance with this AI and coaching feedback, or even sales manager performance?
Yeah. So, obviously the sales manager is the catalyst to change behaviors and improve behavior. You may get a rep that's very highly motivated on their own, and they just want to learn and continuously learn. That's going to be the average rep in the future, right? The actual data that they need is, how do I fix these problems? And they don't need more data. They don't need more metrics. They need a few things that they can work on right now that, if you look at it as a rep, I'm not converting enough. I'm not getting enough referrals. And that could be for a number of different reasons. And doing a root cause analysis allows us to go down the path. Are they asking? Is it an effort issue or is it an effectiveness issue? And we can identify that. But not only that, we dig down further because the real value of CoachEm is, as you said, the synthesis of having CRM, having the analytics, having the metrics. But you combine that with the actual qualitative conversations that are taking place. So you have the quantitative on one hand and the qualitative from the natural language trails that reps use when they're actually talking to prospects or customers. So we're able to combine those and create much more accurate diagnosis of where they are, from what they've said, from what they didn't say, from what stage in the selling cycle they're at. And maybe that rep just doesn't ask, or maybe that rep asks, but he doesn't ask in the right way for referrals. So we can coach to that, and we can have automated interventions that get funneled up to the manager, and they end up going to the rep. If the manager thinks that the AI is correct, we're not overriding the manager. We're not replacing the manager. We're giving him like next best actions. And in the machine learning world, that is what you want to do. You don't want to overwhelm with data. You don't want to have them digging around using, I saw HubSpot now is connecting to Claude. And now you're going to have managers digging around their CRM using natural language. Come on, that creates more work, less, and it doesn't make them more effective. In fact, it's just another overwhelm that makes their job tougher.
Yeah, well, I can see that. I mean, I spent the last 15 years as a sales trainer in a sales training organization, and you have multiple layers of this problem, which is why I think we need AI's help as a sales manager. One is we know what the problem is, right? Somebody missed quota. Okay, well, why? Did they not get enough swings at it? Did they not close enough for the ones that they got in front of? Were they closing too small deals? Were they discounting? What happened here? And then you got to ask why again. Okay, well, like you said, maybe it's not referrals, or maybe their closing rate is poor. Well, why is their closing rate poor? Well, they didn't get in front of enough decision makers. They were selling, entry-level people. And then go, okay, well, if they're not getting in front of entry-level people, why is that? Like what happened there? And then what do we do about it is the key question. So even if a sales manager knows that this rep is not asking for C-level introductions or incorporating executives in the sales process, then he's got to make something up for the first time off of the top of his head, or go to ChatGPT and say, what do I do about my rep? And then you don't know, like you said, that answer is an average of the internet.
Right.
And most salespeople, 53% of salespeople are missing quota. So if you take the average recommendation, you're going to get a bad one to miss quota again. So you guys have gone even further into, well, there's different types of learning then. If we know this person needs to ask for executives to be involved in higher stakeholders, do they not believe that's the right thing to do? Do they not know how to ask? Is there, some sort of behavioral issue or technique, or is it a strategy problem? There's a lot of different things. And then they got the human learning side of things. So I know I'm going deep on this one, Owen, but
good.
I love that I've thought about this so much, because it was my life for the last 15 years. That the problem then even is we got different learning styles. Some people are like, well, I'm not going to read. I got a book that'll solve your problem. It's 200 pages. It's back here on my shelf. And I go, won't read it. I got a podcast. I don't listen to podcasts. I got a video. What you need is a script or an infographic or what. They still don't do it, even if you tell them exactly what to say and how to do it. So you guys have partnered with Hyperbound to use AI robots practice these, which is amazing. But there's also just so many other learning interventions that I think I would love to hear your side of. How do we actually get a rep to do it, even once we use AI to diagnose all these people?
Right. That's right. Yeah. Changing behavior is hard. We actually had behavioral specialists who we consulted with very early on, PhD types, academic types, for how you actually get that done. And what we saw was that, there were tools to be able to do this. It actually came from the ADL, the Army Defense Labs. Called XAPI. And in the ed tech world that I did come from, the K-12 world, much prior, before my cybersecurity at CompTIA, we found that you want to make sure that they actually took the recommendations, did something with them before you measure them at all. You need to know, did they, were they assigned the proper intervention? Did they do it? Did they go see that video? Did they read that PDF? Did they take that micro learning course or not? And keeping metrics and analytics on actual activity levels give you very early warnings about effort versus what we all consider maybe to be most people's problem, which is efficacy. The ability to actually be good at their craft and to increase their ratios. So those are two very different problems. Do I have a rep with a motivation issue, or do I have one that just has trouble learning or doesn't know what or how to learn to improve and to be able to, to close more deals, like you said, more bigger, faster deals.
I feel like I'm stacking problems on here, but this is one of the funniest podcasts I've ever done, because I feel like I've just swam around this for so long that the other problem then you have is, like, are the interventions any good? Is sales enablement making, interventions? Does the training work? Did what we actually put out there work is a whole nother question. And now we need AI and tracking on, well, if people, learned this lesson and did the role play and used it on the call, did that actually solve their problem, right? Did they actually improve results afterwards? So you have to get historical data and track things going forward in order to know if any of this is working, right?
There's a lot of math that goes into, did the intervention work? And it's kind of crazy stuff, but the only way to do it is if you have a statistical model that's based in actual data. You've got, your priors from your dynamic Bayesian network. You've got the ability to follow the mathematics of how did the problem change after that recommendation was made. And it's a big problem in reinforcement learning. It's called deferred reward. And there's ways to solve that problem and to track and trace what happened there. Previously in a previous life in the K-12 industry, I banged my head against the wall trying to change that industry. And, we built Metacog to be able to change the assessment world so that kids weren't relying on multiple choice tests to be able to learn and regurgitate knowledge. And kind of the same thing here with reps. We want to test actual skills display, a display of skills. And we want to do it in a rigorous way that's repeatable and reliable. This is psychometrician speak in the assessment world, right? So how do you do that reliably and do it with academic rigor? And there's a lot of math behind it that we built, but you need to have that model. You need to have the structure of the selling environment and to be able to monitor the optimization of next actions and what those actions actually move the needle on. So very specifically, it gives a tool to sales organizations to be able to do the best possible thing to improve their bottom line on a continuous basis where they don't have more work, it's less work, and they're just pointed the way forward. So I guess that gets back to, there's your Iron Man suit for the frontline manager and sales reps.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, before I let you go, I want to change gears a little bit here, because I think I want you to put on your machine learning and predictive analytics hat and take us into the future here, because I'm a little worried. I think there is some sort of event horizon I can't see past with, AGI or super intelligence. But how do you think the sales profession shakes out in the next, 5 to 7 years as more reps or tasks get automated for bad reps or inbound calls and stuff? And then these sales managers' spans of control, like you said, if they went from 9 to 12 reps to 25 in the last year, reporting them, what does it look like? How does it play out? Do people circle back? Do you have one manager managing 100? How many?
The ground is definitely shifting under the seller world, right? And sales was already getting tougher before AI hit. The economy was kind of flipping from hot to cold anyway. And that easy money of the low-lying fruit is not coming back for a generation. There's no question. Mm-hmm. Excellence is no longer going to be optional. You've got the price of admission is you have to be excellent. As a human, we're doing specific human interactions that are complex. You've got multiple stakeholders. That will never be replaced by AI. It just won't. And, the ability for somebody to listen and to actually identify your problems, connect them with your business, and show you a solution out of that problem is unique to humans. We may have AGI that comes and changes a lot, and it may happen sooner than later. Demis Hassabis thinks it's 5 years away.
Yeah.
But AGI will not replace that human to human interaction for complex relationships. It just can't. But the sales rep needs to get out of that kind of comfort level of mediocrity. And, CROs are going to cut. There's no question. They're not going to cut because of AI, but they'll use that as an excuse. Reps are going to have to become expert sellers, and they have to commit to mastery of their craft. If they don't do that, they're going to be looking for jobs that pay a lot less. I can tell you that right now. But I don't think we really have to fear the washout that is, we're going to eliminate the humans. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to have machines selling to machines, and especially in an enterprise type environment.
Yeah, I don't think, some of those predictions are still overhyped, and I wonder how fast it's going to happen, though. I think the thing that worries me the most is how fast this is happening, and it continues to speed up, that we really need to do everything we can to support the sales team enablement, but also the managers and the executive enablement to make good decisions and to learn faster. And that's one of the reasons I love the CoachEm tool is learning is going to be the toughest challenge. We thought sales was the hard part. Learning what you need to learn to be in sales is going to be the hard part going forward, I think.
Well, you've been in the tech world, and rapid application development is, with now the AI IDs like Windsurf or Cursor, among the many that are out there now. And rapid application development means something very different now than it did, 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So the same thing is going to happen in the equivalent sales world, where you've got to adopt the tools. You've got to become really good at AI. And, the famous saying that you're not going to get replaced by AI, you're going to get replaced by people that use AI. So you've got to really learn on a continuous basis, whatever it takes to stay ahead of the curve, because that tsunami is here, and you better swim like hell to get away from it. So to get ahead of it, I should say. But I think that's really what this has created, is people who are going to be dedicated to continuous lifelong learning are the ones that will win and succeed, and the ones that actually put it in practice.
So I love your take on this. As somebody that's an AI and machine learning expert, you've been in the industry for a long time. What do you think the world looks like within our lifetimes, 30 years from now? What sci-fi movie do you think we end up in?
Yeah, if I knew 6 months from now, I'd be pretty happy. The pace of change is it's dramatic. And, you have agents now that are, like sub-agents that Claude Code just came out with, and the sub-agents are actually behaving as a team, where you've got testers, you've got security sub-agents, you've got architect sub-agents. Pretty soon with AGI and really with artificial superintelligence, you're going to have systems and architects that can actually model new types of AI. So I know DeepMind has just written a paper on this subject, but it's going to advance dramatically. In 30 years, you're going to have AI making better AI, and being able, and the things that AI is not good at now: creativity, orchestration, the ability to have empathy and to understand, the human condition. Those things, who knows? In 30 years, that may be possible. Those may be solved. AGI is it's right around the corner. That to me,
you have an ideal vision. Which sci-fi movie would you like to end up in, or how would you describe your
sci-fi movie? I'd say Wall-E. I wouldn't mind floating around space, hanging out by a poolside and being motored around by the robots. But hopefully we don't end up in a dystopian future like Soylent Green or something like that. But in my mind, the Terminators may win. We may have we may end up in that direction, but hopefully not.
It sounded like the one you were doing, which I don't think is all necessarily bad if you take out the Jedi and the Empire is more of like a Star Wars vision of the future, where like we have robots doing different tasks. There are some that fly planes. There are some that are protocol droids. There are some that have human language capabilities, and there's some that don't, that just process things. And combined with maybe like a Star Trek version of the computer or Jarvis, where we have human assistants. So I think all those would be a really cool future to end up in, but I don't think it's one where humans are completely irrelevant, or there's probably some just problems that AI can't solve about being alive, and the human nature and the nature of life on this planet.
Yeah, no, I think the Wall-E example is a bit silly, but we're going to be very comfortable human beings, and we're going to be pampered by the machines, and we're going to have the ability to have very high quality of life. There may be some disruptions, some pain in the meantime. There's going to be some displacement, but those who can adapt, I do love that vision, the Star Trek, where we have all the assisting droids and are able to do the work that we don't want to do, and we can focus on the work that we're good at, that we like, and that we want to continue doing. So that's a great vision.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thanks for joining us today. This was fascinating, and we went deep on this, especially for sales. But I hope that
hopefully not too far.
Listening here can apply this to your world, because I think the work that Owen has done with the team at CoachEm is specifically solving the sales and sales management problem. But you could apply these same principles to your business in any type of problem that you're solving. And I love the way that you guys have thought about it. So last question, Owen, how can we help you, or you help us? Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, so I really think this is a great conversation, and I'd be really interested in input that any of your viewers have, and any type of comments that could get back to me. That would be really interesting. We continuously want to improve what we're doing and what we're working on, and that would be very welcome.
Yeah, you can add Owen Lawlor on LinkedIn, or you can go to CoachEm.io and learn more about what they are doing there. If you're looking for how to figure out some of these things for yourself in your marketing, and how to use AI to amplify, identify bottlenecks and blind spots in your business, or find ways to amplify your human marketers and your communication message and your brand that you're trying to get out in the world, that's what I do at Avenue 9. Go to avenue9.com. Until next time, keep going, everybody. Have a good one.